With dementia and Alzheimer's on the rise, people are really starting to take their brain health more seriously. Does that sound like you? If it is, you may have also been researching what supplements are good for brain health. And you're in luck. You are in the right place because that is the question I'm going to be answering during today's video. Let's dive right on in. Hi, I'm Dr. Kelly, Doctor of Cause, chiropractic, board certified in sports medicine, specialized in clinical nutrition. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the number one nutrient your brain simply can't function without, and most people are severely deficient in it. Then we'll be discussing the powerhouse nutrient needed for focus, concentration, and memory that you simply can't get enough of by relying on food alone. And finally, we're going to go over the secret weapon of all brain nutrients that will not only lift your mood, but improve mental clarity and overall memory power. Let's get started. Okay, so what is this number one nutrient that the brain simply cannot live without, cannot function optimally without, that majority of Americans are deficient in? It is your omega-3 fatty acids. Most people know these as your fish oils, maybe even flaxseed oil. And the reality is, we are not getting even close to what we should out of our diet. Majority of Americans have way too many omega-6 fatty acids and omega-9 fatty acids in their body and too little of these omega-3s. What's the difference? Omega-3s are really what the building block of your brain is made out of. Depending on what source you cite, the human brain is anywhere from 70 to 80% fat, and those fats are made up of these omega-3 fatty acids. Now, what are the omega-6s and 9s? Those are different types of fatty acids that actually promote inflammation and are destructive for our overall health and well-being. And unfortunately, in our food supply here in America, those are much more readily available than omega-3s. Now, some of you may be taking fish oils already, which is great. But if you're trying to purely just get omega-3 fatty acids from fish alone, you are also at risk for some other problems. Omega-3 fatty acids, one of the best sources of fish that you can get it from is salmon, but you want to make sure you're getting wild-caught salmon. But people will consume fish of all different types. And in order to get enough omega-3 fatty acids, you have to eat fish every single day in huge amounts of it. And the danger of doing that is, unfortunately, our waters are more toxic now. And fish their tissue has a tendency for holding on to poisons, these heavy metals that are really detrimental for our health. So I don't suggest eating high amounts of fish. In fact, I do a lot of different testing in my office, and I test for toxins on a regular basis. Every person that I have tested that has sushi like once a week has very high levels of mercury in their body. That is severely detrimental to your brain and everywhere else. So I am saying you want to use omega-3 fatty acid supplements that come from vetted sources that are looking at potential for heavy metal toxicity and so many other things. You should look for something known as an IFOS certification, IFOS certification. It will tell you everything you need to know about that batch of omega-3 fatty acids that is, fish sourced. It gives you so much more clarity on what you're actually putting in your body. Okay. So super important, omega-3s. You can't get enough of them in your diet alone. But something else you should know, salmon has an omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acid ratio of 1 to 3. Now, grass-fed, grass-finished beef also has that exact same omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. Those are considered safe and actually good for us. So if you're not a fan of fish and you want to steer clear from some of the risk with heavy metals, you can choose to have grass-fed, grass-finished beef or other game types of proteins. Those sources should be safe for you. So just a fun little tidbit there. I'm curious, how many of you knew that your brain was almost 80% fat? Go ahead and drop your answer in the comments down below. And then tell me if you're already taking an omega-3 fatty acid supplement, whether it's fish oil or flax oil or something coming from an algae-derived fatty acid. Let me know down in the comments below. Okay, it's time to figure out what is that powerhouse nutrient that's needed for focus, concentration, and impeccable memory. It's magnesium. Now, here's the thing with magnesium. Not all magnesiums are created equally. And the other thing you need to know about magnesium is 80% of Americans are also deficient in this nutrient. Why are we so deficient? Well, that takes me on a whole other tangent, but the short answer of that is our soils are depleted from the nutrients that they once held, which ultimately means our food supply is not as nutrient dense as what it used to be. Now, magnesium is incredibly important for brain function, but the whole rest of the body relies heavily on it as well. 1/3 of every single cell in your body is made up of magnesium. 80% of all of the biochemical processes that happen 24/7 have to have magnesium in order to work. So it's not just important for memory and focus and concentration, it's important for every single function in your body. But there's a trick. If you're wanting to use magnesium that is going to help with your memory, there's a particular form that has been proven to actually be able to make it into your brain. You see, your brain has it has a barrier. It's called your blood-brain barrier. Think of it as like a line of army men standing hand in hand, not allowing anybody into your brain. Like they have to be on the list in order to gain access. They're not letting anybody in otherwise. So there's a particular form of magnesium that has been proven to be on the list and be allowed into the brain for the brain to be able to utilize. This is known as magnesium L-threonate. So magnesium, you can add more into your diet by consuming oysters, if you like that kind of thing. I do not. Raw pumpkin seeds, also known as pepitas, all your dark leafy greens, and even avocado has a bit of that in it. So I encourage you to eat that more regularly. But then this is also one of those nutrients that you're probably going to have to supplement with. So look for magnesium L-threonate if you really want to give your brain that powerhouse nutrient it needs so desperately for focus and concentration and amazing memory. Now, before I get into the secret weapon of all brain nutrients, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my channel by clicking that button down below and also turn those notifications on. That way you never miss a future episode of any of the video content that I am producing, which I am producing regularly, content about anything brain health related, whether it's focus, concentration, memory, brain fog, you name it, it's there. Also, I am just sharing so much about how you can take back control of your health and achieve what I like to call total body mastery. Because we've got one life to live and we got a lot to get done. Might as well feel amazing, and you totally can, throughout its entirety. So click that subscribe button down below and we'll see you in future episodes. Okay, let's get into the secret weapon of all brain nutrients that not only can boost your mood, but also improve overall focus, well-being, mental clarity, and is going to give you amazing memory power. What nutrient am I talking about? It's vitamin D. Now, have you ever heard of vitamin D and its relationship to brain health? You're right, most people have not. We know that vitamin D is important for strong bones and teeth. We have started to appreciate over the past year in dealing with COVID and cold flu season, all those things, that vitamin D is really important for our immune system. But just as importantly, it's incredibly important for overall brain health and function too. And Dr. Google will tell you that only about 46% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D. I have been testing people for their vitamin D levels for years. And I can tell you for years, I've only had 2 people that actually had high levels of vitamin D and just a few more that actually had normal. And they were actively taking vitamin D on a regular basis. They weren't just relying on the sun. Yes, vitamin D is also known as your sunshine vitamin because when you spend time out in the sun and you allow those rays into your body, they help convert something in your liver to a usable form of vitamin D, okay? But most of us go outside and we lather up with sunblock because we're worried about skin cancer. When you put those sunblocks on, you are blocking the rays of the sun to be able to do its job. So we are not getting enough vitamin D from the sun anymore, and it requires a lot of skin exposure through the right times of the day in order to purely be getting vitamin D at normal levels just by relying on the sun. So ultimately what I see is majority of people are deficient in vitamin D. And I will tell you, all of my patients who have come in with a named diagnosis in the brain health world, so that's talking anxiety, depression, ADD, ADHD, Alzheimer's, dementia, multiple sclerosis, you name it, anything that is a brain health or a neurologic type of diagnosis, those patients all have had critically low levels of vitamin D. We're talking like next to none in their system whatsoever. So it's incredibly important if you want to have amazing memory that you add vitamin D into your regimen. But first, I highly recommend you know what your current vitamin D level actually is. Vitamin D is one of our fat-soluble vitamins, which means you can end up with too much of it in your system and deal with toxicity issues. They are not ones you want to mess with. In short, they could be fatal, okay? I don't like to do that as a fear tactic. It's a reality check. When your vitamin D levels get really high, it starts pulling calcium back out of your bone and puts it in your blood. The heart is not a fan, and neither is the kidney, or are the kidneys, of having too much calcium in your blood. So ultimately, if this is going on, you run the risk of having a heart attack or ending up with kidney failure. There's a lot of other things that can come from it, but those are the most serious. And I just want you to know that we are all great at self-medicating, and you came to this video because you want to know what are some of the most important supplements for boosting memory and overall brain health. Well, vitamin D is definitely one of them, but you should be testing so you're not guessing. Then you'll know if you actually need to supplement with vitamin D. And if so, you'll also have a better idea of how much vitamin D you need to be taking in order to bring your level back up to its normal range. Now, if you're sitting there wondering, how do I know what supplements I really need to be taking to boost my brain health? Or if that last fact kind of scared you and you want to know how you can be tested, then I have a special gift for you. Down in the description below, you will see a link. It is going to give you free access to my 5-day health challenge, where I share with you the exact process that I use with all of my patients, near and far. You can be far, you don't have to be near. It's the key to everything that I do. And it will ultimately guide you on how to figure out exactly what supplements you need in order to boost your brain health. So be sure you click that link down in the description below and you'll get that immediate access. You can start right away. That way you don't waste any more time and can really start boosting the level of your brain health once and for all and immediately. I appreciate you. Have an amazing rest of your day and make sure you don't miss the next episode. We'll see you soon. Here's to being healthy.